Hello everyone, back to today's second video. So we've already done the autumn 2017 forecast. You can find videos of that here on the homepage. Just scroll down page, it's above the polling count. Later on, the autumn 2017 forecast will be placed on the autumn forecast page, and there'll be a written report that goes with that as well. So if you haven't been able to watch the video, you'll be able to go to the autumn forecast page and read written sort of forecast for the coming season. The video will be there indefinitely as well, so you'll be able to watch that video whenever you want. So now that autumn is out of the way in terms of the longer range, the bandwagon rolls on and we move on to our next season, and that of course is going to be winter, and that means only one thing. It means that the winter updates are about to begin again at GWV Winter. In fact, in just 1 week's time, there we go, count it, 1 week's time, we are going to begin the first winter update. Seriously, on Sunday the 3rd of September, that is when we will have our first winter update, and then we're going to do winter updates every week through the remainder of the autumn until we get to the end of November, the start of December, when we will release the GWV Winter 2017-2018 forecast. So it's all beginning to get very, very exciting now, with just 1 week to go until those winter updates. And to sort of whet your appetite a little bit, I wanted to give you a little bit of a sneak peek at a few long-range models, see what they're showing for the winter. But before I do that, I'm just going to talk a little bit about what goes in to the winter forecast. So we're going to start this video, get right to tab, there we go. We're going to start this video where we left off, really, with the NAO forecast, which we released at the beginning of July, 2nd of July, actually. So the NAO forecast is already in the can, it's already in the bag, if you like, and this is our beginning point for the winter updates. So I'm on the winter 2017-18 forecast page for this coming season at GWV.com, and here's the NAO forecast just here. If you haven't watched it yet, then please go to this page so that you can have a look at the NAO forecast that we released on the 2nd of July a couple of months ago, because this is really, as I say, the starting point for the winter updates, this base camp, if you like. So we've already done that, and from next week, winter updates will start to cover all the other things that go into our winter forecast. One of the big issues within the winter forecast is always what's going on in the ocean. So on a week-by-week basis, every Sunday through the autumn, we're going to keep an eye on the big oceans, the Pacific and the Atlantic. So we'll be keeping an eye on what's happening in the ENSO region just here. Are we going to shift over towards a weak La Nina event for winter of 2017-2018? It certainly looks like that signature is starting to develop along the equatorial Pacific, along the equator of the Pacific right now. Further north, we'll be keeping an eye on the sea surface temperature anomalies in the northern part of the Pacific Ocean, specifically this area just here over in the northeastern Pacific. Will that start to cool down as we head towards the winter period? In the Atlantic, we'll be looking to see whether a tripole starts to emerge. So that is 3 distinct bands of warm, and then of cool, and then of warm again. At the moment, we don't look like we're all that far from a tripole, I have to say. We're not expecting a tripole. The NAO forecast that we released in July, which was based on May sea surface temperature anomalies, that isn't expecting a tripole and a negative NAO. But at the moment, we're not all that far from it. So we'll be keeping an eye to see whether, in fact, a tripole does emerge through the course of this autumn. Also, of course, we'll be keeping an eye on solar activity. At the moment, we're seeing a little increase in sunspots on the solar disk at the moment. As I say, this is the image from solarham.net. With the images from Solarham, and also with the GWV's daily solar activity tracker, we will be endeavouring to keep a track on solar activity. Will we get a slump in sunspot numbers? We're heading to solar minimum quickly now. We'll be at solar minimum in around 12 to 18 months' time. If we get a prolonged run of no sunspots or minimal sunspots, then that can help to increase the risk of northern blocking in the winter. So it's one of the things that we keep an eye on through the winter updates. And our good friend James Atquill, as ever, will be keeping the daily solar activity tracker updated for us every week, so that's going to be really exciting. Of course, we're going to keep an eye on the QBO. We are heading into an easterly QBO, so you can see just here that this white area is appearing. That tells us we're moving into an easterly QBO. An easterly QBO can sometimes enhance the chance of more blocking and a weaker jet stream in the northern hemisphere in the winter. So an easterly QBO can sometimes coincide with colder winters for the UK and for Europe. There'll be lots more to come on that in the weeks and months ahead. We'll be keeping an eye on hurricane activity because there is a connection between high levels of Atlantic hurricanes and the possibility, by the time you get through to the winter, of northern blocking. I'll explain all of that in the winter updates, but we'll be keeping an eye on this page, the 2017 Atlantic hurricane season at Wikipedia, to see just how many hurricanes we have for this winter. So far, it's been a fairly active season. 30 days, we'll see whether that carries on through the next 3 months. Of course, we'll be keeping an eye on Arctic sea ice extent and also on Siberian/Russian snow cover as well. So up here, we've got Arctic sea ice, which is currently in the melt season. One of the first things we keep an eye on over the first 2 or 3 updates is how low the melt season has gone. So we'll be tracking that, and it'll be a big feature in the first 2 or 3 updates. And then as we get through to end of September into October, all of this area, this is Russia and Siberia. This is the far east of Russia, Siberia there. This is the far west of Russia, just here, and this is Europe, just here. And all of this is going to fill up with snow later in September and through October and into November. We'll find the snow line week by week, if everything's working as it should do with the atmosphere. We'll find week by week through the autumn the snow line gradually advancing further and further west, so that eventually it will end up at the doors of Europe. And how quickly that snow line advances is going to be one of the things that we'll be watching through the course of the autumn. And then, of course, we're going to have loads of reanalysis as well. So James Atquill, who is the guru at GWV of reanalysis, he'll be trawling through the charts and the archives to create reanalysis charts as we move along. I can't yet say exactly how that reanalysis is going to present itself because, of course, the storyline of the winter updates kind of evolves. They take on a life of their own, actually, and perhaps a little bit surprisingly, this always happens, that they kind of take on a life of their own through the season. So I can't yet say exactly what reanalysis we'll be looking at. I think one of the first things we might look at from a reanalysis perspective is the summer pattern that we've just been experiencing, which of course has been quite a front-loaded summer for England and Wales. So that may be one of the first sort of reanalysis is, if there's such a word, that we look at in the earlier winter updates. But these reanalysis parts of the videos will take on a life of their own as we move through the course of the season. And of course, we will also be keeping an eye on the pressure patterns through the autumn to see how they evolve. And of course, reanalysis will play a part in this as well. As the patterns evolve through the autumn, we'll be seeing what implications, probably mainly from reanalysis, what implications that could have for the winter. And then eventually, what's going to happen is that we'll get to the end of the updates. I think we've got 11 updates to come. And we'll get to the end of those updates and we will create the GWV.com Winter 2017-2018 forecast. Now, as well as the 11 winter updates between next Sunday and the end of November, we're also going to have 3 seasonal model roundups as well. So that goes into the winter forecast also. So we kind of combine our methodology, which is all the things I've just talked about, with the seasonal models, and eventually, hopefully, we'll be able to bring a forecast together at the end of the month. So they'll be at the end of season, I should say, of updates. So there'll be 3 seasonal model roundups in September, October, November, as well as the 11 winter updates. And just get you in the mood, really, I thought I'd throw in a few models that we'll be looking at it much more in depth as we go through into next month. So we'll start off with the latest forecast from CFS V2, the dreaded CFS for the winter of 2017-18. At the moment, the CFS is going for a mild winter. It has low pressure up to the north and west of the country, has high pressure down to the south, and it's bringing the jet stream through this very latest chart when I'm doing the sneak peek for the winter. So it is going for an Atlantic driven winter, the CFS V2 right now, and that means that temperature anomalies for the winter are coming out very, very mild across many parts of Europe. The precipitation, that also is coming out above average, which you would expect really in an Atlantic driven and mild winter. You'd expect a wetter than average winter. That's what the model is going for. So at the moment, CFS V2 is going for a very mild Atlantic driven and wet winter of 2017-2018. This is the experimental NASA model, and it's placing a ridge within the 500 millibar flow down to the south of the UK. So jet stream is doing something a little bit like that. So again, this is placing us on the mild side of jet. The difference here is that it's far drier. It's much more anticyclonic compared to what the CFS V2 is going for. Temperature anomalies, they're coming out significantly milder than average for the winter 2017-2018. Precipitation anomalies, they're looking a little bit wetter than average in the north, but to the south of UK, a bit drier than average. Not a particularly wet winter being signalled there, but certainly a very mild one. This is the mean sea level pressure anomaly from the UK Met Office GLOSY 5 model. Now, this isn't covering the full winter period. It's only going from November, I should say, through to January. But it is going very similar to CFS, really. It is going from mild winter because we've got lots of low pressure up to the north and bringing quite a strong jet stream through like that with high pressure to our south. So it is seeing an Atlantic driven and mild early and middle part of winter anyway coming up. Temperature anomalies are coming out warmer than average with GLOSY 5 for the winter, and precipitation anomalies are coming out generally above average, particularly so to the north and west. So far, all 3 models are going for a milder than average winter. This is Jamstech, and I've got the wrong chart, so let's just swap that over. This is Jamstech, and it is going for generally a very mild winter through most parts of Europe. So look at this, many parts of Europe and Eurasia coming out significantly warmer than average. For the UK, actually our deviation, our anomaly, isn't as great, but England and Wales is getting a milder than average winter. Scotland and Northern Ireland a little bit cooler than average, but let's call that a mild winter for 2017-2018 being forecast by Jamstech. For the precipitation anomaly, that's coming out wetter than average. So clear signal here so far. It's very early days, it's only August, but so far we have got quite a clear signal for a warm and wet winter coming up. And then finally, for this sneak peek, we'll have the Beijing Climate Centre, and this one's a little bit more interesting. This is the 500 millibar height anomaly. It's placing a lot of ridging up to the north of the country. Look at that, quite a lot of high pressure up there, and then underneath it we've got low pressure through the Atlantic, which looks like it will be going in on a southerly tracking jet stream. That's possibly hinting at the chance of a colder winter. Now, the temperature anomaly for this winter with the Beijing Climate Center is average to slightly mild average, but I want to draw your attention over here. There appears to be a lot of cold air lurking into the eastern part, central part of Europe, or certainly cooler air, and up over Scandinavia as well. So the Beijing Climate Center is getting very close to pulling some colder air back into the west of Europe. Not quite doing it yet, but certainly closer than any of the other models that we've seen doing something cold. For precipitation, it's looking drier than average. Let's just check this, actually. So, yes, precipitation is looking drier than average through most parts of the British Isles and the Northern Atlantic as well. And over here, across northern parts of Europe. It's wetter across southern Europe. So this perhaps implying that we might have some high pressure going on up here and over here, and we might have a southerly tracking jet stream taking the rain bands through there. I think out of all of the models that we've looked at for this sneak peek, the Beijing Climate Center is the most interesting from a cold perspective. It's very close to doing something cold with the Beijing Climate Center. All the other models, though, they're a bit of a write-off at the moment. But it's really early days. As I say, we've got 3 seasonal model roundups to do between September and November. And we'll just see how these long-range models pick things up as we go through the season. So that's it. That's the sneak peek done and dusted. So all that remains is to say come back in 1 week's time. It all begins, it all kicks off in just 1 week's time. Sunday, the 3rd of September, is the first of the winter updates. So going to be really exciting. In just 1 week's time, we begin the countdown to winter 2017-2018. I hope you'll come back and keep up with the updates as we go through the season. I'm sure you will. Going to be a very exciting season ahead, I think. So see you next week. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.